Cool. Well, thanks for having us in your home.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah. Well, this is the Sanctus podcast.
I'm sorry I wasn't. I overslept.
That's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
You look very chill, actually.
Yeah. Well, hey, I went to. Oh, it's got a stain on. I went to Muji and bought this yesterday.
Yeah.
I really like it.
It's nice.
Yeah, it's a nice colour. I've never worn this colour before.
Kind of got that pyjama feel without looking like
a pyjama.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Which is great. And how are you in general at the moment?
All right. Actually, I'm a bit tired.
Yeah.
It's been a busy week. I'm doing this musical, and it's full on.
Mm.
You know, it is full on. It's really good. I like the routine of it. I've started this thing called bar crawl, which is like ballet mixed with like exercise.
Cool.
Well, it is exercise, ballet anyway. So I've been exercising a lot, and I need the routine to be able to do that. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because if I know I'm doing 9 to 5, then I can book in a class.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's really good for me. So, like energy-wise, I feel really good.
I'm just conscious asking how are you in the context of this conversation on mental health. It's like the biggest.
I know it's
you
like
can
the bit.
ask,
Yeah, I
isn't
could
it?
go on for like 2 hours on that.
Yeah.
But don't you like that? Don't you
I
like,
do.
I like the power of how are you with someone that is open to talk about.
Yeah.
The truth of how they are, rather than just like, oh, I'm a bit tired.
Well, it can be a very powerful question, in the right setting.
Yeah.
Where you feel safe, I suppose.
I think it is. It must be safe, isn't it?
I think that's the right word.
Yeah, because there's no point doing it with someone, like opening up to someone that's just going to not hear it.
No, I think that's what stops people, I imagine, not feeling heard, not being able to say it. It makes me think of the workplace. I think it's an obvious one,
Yeah.
That the question "how are you" probably gets asked like 10 times between the hours of 9 and 9:15 in the morning when people come into the office. But how often do people answer honestly?
Well, sometimes I actually stop myself and I might say, yeah, I'm all good, and then I might stop and go, well, actually, I'm feeling this. Because also I can feel multiple things at the same time.
Yeah.
Because there's that crucial word "but," I think. So it'd be like, I'm feeling, really excited, but I'm feeling nervous.
Yeah.
It'd be like, I'm feeling really excited and I'm feeling nervous. I can feel multiple things at the same time.
I remember when we first chatted, you certainly struck me as someone not kind of adverse to a conversation on mental health. Like you're willing to go there.
Oh yeah,
if
talking about
necessary.
sort of things. Yeah.
And then I was on my way over here. I was thinking, like, has that always been the case? Like when we chatted, I noticed how open you are, the way you were talking, and even now, able to kind of tap into those feelings essentially. Yeah. And just wondered, like, if that, have you always been able to do that?
No, not until. I mean, when I started therapy, when I sort of thought, might need to see someone, which would have been about 12 years ago, maybe a bit more. This wonderful woman, Lois Evans, the first thing she said was, if I was your boyfriend, I'd dump you. I was like, I love this woman.
Wow.
And it would still stay very much within my conversations with her.
Yeah.
And then I think actually what really changed was when I had my breakdown, which I would highly recommend.
I think I tried my best.
Did you? It's great. Because once I was in it. I was like, I'm having a breakdown. I think this is what a breakdown is, But I like properly the use of the word breakdown is in like I was falling apart.
Yeah.
It kind of needed to happen.
Yeah.
But when that started, I suppose I just couldn't hide it anymore.
Yeah.
And then I started reading a couple of books, and I just very quickly realised that no one talks about anything. Very rarely, even amongst friendship groups, do people actually talk about what's going on in their lives to the point of emotional health. Yeah, so I'd say that was 6 years ago.
And what?
Now you can't stop me.
Yeah. And what had got you to the point of that breakdown? Like, where had I imagine there's long history sort of thing, but had there been a certain?
I think I was just avoiding,
Right.
avoiding what I was feeling and trying to find things that would fill that, hole, or just make me stop thinking about it. So let's say I'm feeling depressed, be like, okay, well, I'll buy a jumper, or I'll just work super hard, or I'll get obsessed in my relationship, or or if I just get that bigger house, then that will be good, or if I just get on that TV program. And so I was always chasing something. And then when I pretty much got everything that I wanted, I was talking to someone about this yesterday, then I was like, oh shit. Oh dear.
So it sounds to me like you're filling a hole, like filling a void, and actually when you'd thought you'd filled it.
Well, I just, I couldn't do it anymore. To be honest, that was the other thing, it was just exhausting me. And I think I just was just like, I'd just done up a house to basically look like something that could go in the world of interiors. I had a dressing room that looked like a 1930s gentleman's shop. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was kind of amazing. Spent so much money putting a sound system in, doing my garden, getting the right car, got #1 album. Was just, I don't know, there just couldn't have been anything else. And then I just thought, I got into my house, I moved into my house, and it all happened at the same time. So I got into my house, I got #1 album, I had money in the bank, I had a Mercedes G-Wagon, and I was just absolutely miserable. So I thought, well, if none of these things are working, these have been my kind of go-to things, and I just, oh dear. And I actually said out loud, oh shit. I actually said out loud.
Like you'd put your foot in it.
Yeah, I went, oh shit, this is going to be really difficult.
And was that at the peak of Will Young to the public? Was that at your kind of peak?
I felt it was at the peak for me, because I was just, I just felt like I was looking great, I was doing great work, I was doing stuff that was creatively, I really believed in, and it was working. So for me, it was my peak. I mean, probably in terms of sales, in terms of, probably I'd sold millions in my first single, so I was never going to sell millions again. But for me, in terms of my business, I thought it doesn't get any better than this. Yeah.
So on the outside, it's all looking great. #1 album, looking good. Big house, nice house.
Yeah.
Great car.
Great clothes, going to nice parties, all that kind of thing.
Hanging around with cool people, I'm imagining. I don't know.
No. Actually, I've never hung around with cool people. I did try that for a while, but that didn't work. Yeah. But the thing is also, I got very happy in work. Because if work was a microcosm of life, I'd had 4 or 5 years of kind of being a bit miserable, and then I sort of worked on that. That was the first thing I worked on in therapy, really.
Right.
And then I worked that all out. I was like, oh, okay, I get what it is to be famous, get what it is. And I was having a great time. But then that wasn't enough.
Right.
Because my work life was my work life. And I'm still very happy in work, like I'm very relaxed about work. I don't really worry about it that much. I mean, they're taxing times. Normally, creatively, it takes a bit working out sometimes, but I don't really mind. I think, I'll just be a gardener if it doesn't work out, or I'll go and be something else. But in life, personal life, no, I had a lot of working out to do. Yeah.
And when you were kind of, from when I remember you as Pop Idol, most people my age will remember Will Young, Pop Idol, Evergreen, and and all that. What was Will like then? Were you quite aware of how you were feeling, or were you just kind of were you just thrust into it?
No, I wasn't aware, really, now I look back. I mean, I used to get down, and I remember having a stage at university when I got very depressed, and that was to do with my feelings for what kicked it off was my feelings for a friend. And you know, when I sort of, now I look back on that, it's love addiction, you know, which is really a way of the brain just kind of like ruminating over one thought the whole time. But actually beneath that would be abandonment, you know, I would say. But so I got down at university, and then I would be aware of it sort of occasionally coming back, you know, and it would last for maybe a few days. But I was so focused on work, I wasn't really aware of my emotional state that much. I used to get the old panic attack, but it was just work.
And that was just the norm.
And also, I didn't mind, because I always wanted to be a pop star. So then when I got it, I was like, I'm not going to let this go.
Yeah.
I actually do remember thinking, right, this will be 5 years. I've got to work for 5 years to get this locked in. And I was extremely focused on it.
Yeah. You can feel that like hunger and ambition.
It was really important to me. And it was really fun. I mean, I was doing like photo shoots, videos, and not from a sense of like being famous, but just because it was like a bit of a dream to be a pop star and be a singer. It was more important actually to be a singer.
And you did it in a very public way, I suppose, as well.
Yeah, because it was it. I began, you know, it wasn't like I got developed and then did it. You know, I began with, it's still the fastest selling debut single, 16 years later, you know. And so that was my kind of point of reference.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, what a high.
It wasn't a little EP.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it was a high, but in other ways it wasn't, because I had nothing to refer it to. So I just thought it was normal. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
1 million and however many copies. I was like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Because I had no point of reference. I hadn't released a single before. But really it was just a lot of work. I felt very insecure. I had very low self-esteem. And I was aware of that. But there's something about, like, when you really want to become aware of something, you're opening a can of worms.
Right.
You know, you've got to, you really want to put your focus on something. It's like someone said to me yesterday, I think if I cry, I'm worried that I won't stop, which I hear quite a lot from people. And I think it's the same thing. It's like, well, I just have low self-esteem and carry on. But if I really want to focus on it, it's like, oh, this is going to be very painful.
Yeah.
You know.
I think that's something that I also hear a lot from people, and in many ways kind of relate to it. I think you might know deep down that, you know, you've got low self-esteem, or you feel insecure about something, or there's a nagging fear or doubt about something in your life. Whereas it can be easier to just kind of ignore that, or feel easier short term to ignore that than to start to kind of peel back the layers. Because who knows what you might find. It's kind of like dipping your hand into, you know, that drawer underneath, that drawer that you know, Monica's cupboard in Friends, you know, it kind of really can feel like that.
Yeah, and also, who does want to open that up? I mean, I you know, I didn't have a choice, because I did avoid it for years, but really I ground to a halt. You know, my body ground to a halt.
So even when you were at the peak of Evergreen and all of that, was that lingering kind of self-doubt and insecurity there? Yes,
it was. It certainly showed up as self-doubt. Yeah, and I never really felt good enough. Yeah, so like I would win awards, but I would think, well, you know, I don't really deserve that. Wow. And yeah, I wouldn't want to go to the Brit Awards. I hate it. To be honest, I would still hate it, but for different reasons. You know, and if I won a Brit, then I would be like, oh. You know, I couldn't really see more the value in what I was doing. And some of that I can understand, and some of that was damaging to me.
What is amazing to me is that who I would hope I would have quite a good sense of perspective, that that people's lives aren't always as they seem, and people are often hiding a lot of their inner world to the outer world. But I think even my sense was, being famous must have been amazing and that high, and I think I just said the question then, wasn't that such a high, and straight away you were like, well, no, actually.
No, and also I became a very good. I mean, I'm a performer.
Yeah.
And I was extremely proficient at playing a part, because I think that's what happens. We can play parts. So I played Mr. Happy, and I was very good at it.
Yeah. Well, the best.
The
really,
best.
Yeah. One of the best.
And so that was my role. It only lasts for so long. I never thought. I was never one of those people that thought, oh, fame and all that would. I can understand from the outside how it would look, but I never thought like having the clothes and all that would be. Fills my life, makes me happy. But getting my dream job, I think, did make me very happy, but it didn't last forever. But yeah, no, I could turn a smile on in a second. Definitely.
So the theme, like what I'm just like, it's almost like a constant, is that there's these like outer things. There's there's the being a pop star, there's the house and the money and the fame and whatnot, which were great. And I think what's really candid is that you did enjoy those.
Yeah.
There's no need to lie and say, oh, I didn't enjoy them. You actually did enjoy those, but still, there was almost like, it sounds like an unquenched thirst. Like there was something that was still not complete.
Yeah, I think, yes. I think in a way it's a gift to be able to go to the extremes of what one would think would be happiness. So it would be lots of money, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Cars, clothes, houses. It's a gift to be able to have done that, to then see what else is missing, and I don't know if it's an unquenched thirst. I think it's just, it was, and it's nice thinking about it now because it doesn't feel like that. Just a complete empty hole. So it's like I was almost a vessel, which is fine if you're like being dressed up as a mannequin and wheeling out to do things, because I'm just a vessel, but there was not really much sort of filled up inside. Yeah.
And you're not a vessel, are you? You're a human
No,
being.
exactly. Yeah. But I would never really go into that area,
And so how long was it then from the kind of peak of Pop Idol to this breakdown?
10 years.
10 years.
Yeah, 10, just over 10 years, I would say. 10, 12 years.
And had there been, I'm sure if you look back, there's signs and whatnot. Looking back now, are you like, that was obvious? Can you what were those? Were there triggers? Were there ways in which you were being and showing up that now when you look back it was obvious that you were leading to a breakdown, or did it kind of come quite left field?
I don't know if it was obvious that was leading to a breakdown. I mean, I think like taking on behaviours, so I was drinking too much, I was addicted to pornography, houses were my thing. I would say those, shopping, those kind of things would be behaviours that were external kind of signs, and then it all sort of came crashing down. Yeah, but I don't know if they were just signs of like complete, unhappiness, and avoidance. That's what I would say, avoidance. But no, the breakdown happened. The trigger for that was that I went on a course called the Hoffman process, which is an 8-day experiential course, and then that blew the whole thing wide open. Yeah, and it was great because I got a lot of stuff sorted out with family history and all that, and didn't even realise that I was angry. That was the main thing actually from that. Like I was like, I'm not an angry person. I'm not an angry person. And then I realised like I was quite an angry person.
You were, yeah.
Yeah, and that was very interesting. And I moved very quickly after that Hoffman process. So then I did that. I opened up the can of worms, and then I was quite naked and didn't really know what was going on.
Fragile, I imagine. Very
fragile. And then I started having just constant panic attacks, like constant. And I read a couple of books, one on shame, one on love addiction, and they were great. And to be honest, they suddenly jettisoned me very quickly forward in my head, working things out. So I was like, oh my God, that's what I am. I love addict. Oh my God, I get it. And I was going to 12-step groups, and it was good. I learned a lot. I was still fragile, and then I properly plunged, and got really ill. And then my depression got worse, and my anxiety got really bad, and I got a dissociative disorder called depersonalization, derealization, which is I couldn't see my face in the mirror, and I saw it, but I didn't really know who I was, who this person was. Didn't know who people were.
That image of you looking in the mirror is so strong.
I know, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Just wouldn't wish it on anyone.
It makes me think of like an analogy that people often use in mental health of like wearing a mask.
I just didn't know who that person was. It was just weird. It was really odd. And I didn't know places, so I wouldn't really be like, oh yeah, I'm in London and this is a Tuesday. It would just be a bit blank. It was terrifying. Wow. And that, then that became my reality for, 2.5 years.
And was that kind of, because I'm obviously hearing this for the first time, it was that kind of like then, all that 10 years of kind of pent up, either whether it's emptiness or emotion that's not been outlet, do you feel like it sounds to me like it all just went?
Yeah, well, I'd say it was 32 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like work was kind of sorted, and that part of my life, but I'd say it was way before then.
Yeah.
And it just, my body couldn't cope, so it did the defensive thing, which was to shut down. I mean, just to dissociate is what we do. If a lion was going to attack me, I wouldn't feel it by the time it got me, because my body would just go, ugh.
So you'd almost put yourself, or you were in such agony.
Yeah, and then my body removed me from a type of feeling state, But the thing is that to feel dissociated is horrible in itself. Yeah. So it's like, it's fine if I'm about to be killed, but not when I have to walk around every day.
No. You have to be in the world.
I have to be in the world, and then I was doing a job. I was doing a theatre job, which was now I look back, I'm not quite sure how I managed it, because I would go on stage, and then between scenes, if I had a break, I would go back to my dressing room and sit there and think, I just don't think I can go back on. And that was night after night after night. But I was also very determined, and I did enjoy the work. And then after that, I got diagnosed with PTSD, and by my then therapist, and I was very grateful for that, because then I found this place called Kieran House, and focused on trauma, and that was really like 5 years of going in and out of treatment there. Yeah.
So when you you had this long period where, in many ways, like, you suppose you weren't being your full self. There was a lot you were holding back. You're performing. You kind of like literally performing on a daily basis. Then when you actually started to really feel some of these feelings, were you performing still, or did you start to?
No,
at what point did you start to? Obviously, I imagine you opened up to your therapist. At what point was it friends, family, and the kind
of... I think friends during that first year of having a breakdown, because I just couldn't be bothered to hide it anymore, and then I quickly learned a lot. Move my knees, really hurt. This is the ballet bar, you see. I quickly learned a lot about... Well, what was amazing actually was I would just own my emotional state. I was going to group therapy, which is amazing, extremely powerful, and just to connect actually calms me down. To know I'm not the only person feeling sad. And then, so I would just own my emotional state, and then I slowly would notice which friends could actually cope with that. So essentially cope with their own emotional state, and which friends couldn't.
Yeah.
And so then slowly what happened is my friendship group sort of split into two in a way. So I noticed that me opening up sort of allowed some of my friends to open up as well, and we started forming this deeper friendship, when how are you actually means a lot more than just how are you, I don't really care. And because the how are you question is, in a way, can just allow people just to keep up the illusion.
Yeah.
It's like, how are you? I'm fine. How are you? I'm fine. Oh, we're checking along again.
Reinforcing that performance, isn't it?
It's just reinforcing the performance, which is actually, when I think about it, it's really sad when I think, gosh, these are people that I'm friends with, and I'm doing this illusion.
You're giving, by you not owning your emotion and opening up to them, you're giving them permission to not do that as well. You're not giving them space to do it.
No. So it's just like, I mean, that's sad, to go on to the end of one's life doing that. And so people did start opening up, people that I never expected to be honest. People that I was actually terrified that they would judge me and reject me. So that was a wonderful thing for that to happen. And also on the flip side, there was, some disappointment and hurt that some friends just couldn't handle it, couldn't cope with it. So it would be, it would just not be heard. And there's nothing worse that I think than opening up and it not being heard, because that's like double rejection.
Yeah.
So that, took some...
I imagine that can reinforce that belief that I'm not enough.
I'm not enough, exactly. So don't, I'm not enough because it's a weird sort of tornado effect, really.
Cyclical,
vortex, So it's like, I'm not enough, oh, I'm feeling sad, or I'm not enough. Basically, a lot of it starts from feelings being invalidated as a child, because, children can get told off. Don't be sad. Don't stop crying.
Yeah.
Really basic things.
Yeah.
So then I would just own my state more to people, and I just carried on doing a lot of group therapy. Yeah, but also I think there has to be containment within it. Like, I've got to be like, if you teach a child how to cope with their emotional state, and I had to teach myself how to cope with it. So I can't be completely uncontained. Imagine if you'd answer the door, I'd be like, I'm not brilliant in the morning, particularly if I've overslept. So my emotional state will be wobbly. When you guys arrived, my emotional state was wobbly. And I didn't go, oh my God, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh my God, I mean, it'll fix me out. You know,
you didn't overshare.
There's got to be containment within that to allow myself to calm, and that's part of self-care. You know, it's, you know, looking after didn't mean that I didn't want to share. I didn't, but there are times and places. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
It wouldn't be great to share with a bus driver while there are 10 people queuing behind me.
You're not going to support yourself doing that.
No.
You're only going to put yourself you're going to expose yourself in a way that's not safe for you and your own mental health, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
But it sounds to me, though, like there was a lot of inner work done for you to learn those things. You mentioned group therapy, seeing your therapist. You know, it sounds like you had to really talk that through and learn that about yourself.
I was like going to you know, college for feelings, basically. I had to like probably do my homework, and I think because my brain enjoyed that, you know, because once I started connecting my emotions with what I was reading on the page, I was like, oh, I get it. Because there's that thing of going for years, no, I get it, boarding school, yeah, that would have been hard, yeah, no, I get it. But when I connected with the pain, it's like, oh, I get it. Okay, now I get it.
Yeah, I'm holding it.
I'm holding it. You know, oh, it's there. And so there's a big difference. And then actually things can be worked. It doesn't mean that they'll go away. It just means that they're understood and can be looked after.
Well, I definitely notice as you're talking about it, you talk about it with a smile on your face. Actually, it's whilst I imagine, you know, some of those conversations were hard and emotional, and you know, maybe you got upset or whatever. Actually, now it seems like that's been quite a positive experience for you.
Oh, totally. I mean, like I wouldn't be able to even look you in the eyes, not that it would have mattered, and say boarding school. It just would have been too hard, you know. So I really genuinely did deal with that trauma at boarding school. So now if I'm triggered, it's sort of, I'm not emotionally taken back there. You know, I wouldn't have it any other way. I would, if you said you can keep on going, you didn't have a breakdown, there's no way I would do that in a million years. Like, no way in hell would I go back to how it was before.
Like, it wasn't you.
It wasn't me.
It was a version of you.
Yeah, and it wasn't living. It was just existing. And that was just exhausting, actually. I don't know how I did it day after day.
I mean, I can certainly relate to that kind of, you know, there was definitely a period in my life where I was, living, not really being true to myself, trying to be someone. In my case, that was this version of this entrepreneur or this CEO that I kind of had in my head, and it was exhausting. It's like living a lie, almost. Very, very tiring. And the person I was presenting to the world was a facade, really, in many ways. Not in every environment, but for a majority of my life, it was a facade.
It's sort of, I think we're taught that, you know, from a young age. I think we're taught that to go into. Someone was telling me yesterday, I'm the fixer of the family, you know, and I really related to that. And at the same time, I was thinking, gosh, you know, I was the fixer, and that meant I didn't deal with my own stuff because I could fix other people's. You know, so there's so many different types of behaviour that we do. And I think a lot of it comes down to fear of rejection, that we don't go for it as well. Because there's the pain of the work, and then there's the shame of feeling it in the first place. And when the shame goes, over 50% of the discomfort with feeling something goes.
So when you're no longer ashamed of feeling something.
Well, and that's why I think talking to people when it's safe and appropriate, and you know, is amazing, because the shame just disappears when I am heard by someone and validated. So I mean, you know, talking about mental health in the workplace, last week I was just having a major panic attack, and I was outside rehearsals and I just couldn't leave the car. basically. And I just decided, well then I won't leave the car. It's quite simple.
Yeah.
And it was simple because my work are really understanding, and they know that actually me taking the afternoon off, so for the sake of 4 hours, basically 2 till 6, 4 hours, me going to have a massage or whatever it was that I knew could help me is better than me doing the 4 hours and maybe having a whole week of not feeling good. So they were amazing. And then I came in the next day, and the person that I was having my rehearsal with, I said, I'm really sorry. And he completely, not only was he cool with it, I could tell that he was someone that he must have done work, because he said, I get it, you seem like you can do the things that you need to do to look after yourself, and if there's anything I can do to support that, then let me know. So I actually feel completely safe with him. So not only was, because to begin with, it's that worry of, what are people going to say? So I owned it. I texted because I didn't feel safe to ring, and I didn't want to be talked out of it because I knew that I needed to not go in. I was like, no. I texted and said, I feel I have a very dodgy nervous system, and currently I'm having the biggest panic attack. So unfortunately, I'm going to just call it a day today. And so I owned it, so I didn't feel I had to lie. Because before I'd be like, oh gosh, my great aunt Beryl's died. Do you know what I mean? Or like, always something. I don't like lying.
No, I don't think anyone does.
I don't think so.
But you'll lie to protect yourself, won't you? Or
yes.
Or whether it's your great aunt Beryl, or it's I'm late and I can't make it. I'm ill.
Yeah, ill's a big one.
It's an obvious one, I think.
Yeah.
I think the scenario you just sort of recounted then with I don't know, your colleague or whoever that person was, that's just a lesson in empathy for me. Like,
yes.
What a great example of a friend or a colleague or a partner or a family member just being empathetic and just understanding. It's not rocket science, is it?
It's not rocket science. I think that it takes people, often it takes a person that has decided to own their own stuff to have that empathy.
To have that level of self-knowledge and self-awareness.
So. I think so, to just get it. But then, along with that, I think, just generally having a workplace that, there were absolutely no repercussions whatsoever. People didn't get in a panic. Because that's the other thing. I worry people will panic and they'll go, oh my God, he won't be able to do the show, oh my God.
Well, let's be honest, to be really not brutal about it, it makes good business sense. At the end of the day, to let you take 4 hours in the afternoon because you needed it makes sense. Or else if you'd have lied and done that 4 hours, like you said, you might have been off.
Oh, totally. I wouldn't have. Wouldn't have taken anything in. And so, what's going on there? Oh, it's Victoria. Hi, Victoria. It does make good business sense, and I think people are probably becoming more and more aware of that, actually.
Yeah. So that's like you in the kind of present now. What have you got, kind of like a routine, or what's your like? What have you done to your world for like your own mental health now?
It's finding, doing the things that I know help. So things don't get, to a point that it can, start spiraling down. And recognizing that it's okay for me to have those things. So, exercise has become, now I'm a lot better. Exercise is great. I do, I'd say 4 or 5 times a week exercise. I vary it up as well. I'm not a great come on, I don't like doing that kind of exercise. I don't think it really works for me, actually. Talking, I need to have at least at least one, session a week where I talk to someone.
And does that have to be therapy, or is that just...
No, I go and see a shaman. I talk to, I go and get some body work, so go and see an osteopath, or just a 12-step group, which are great, I think. You don't have to join in the 12-step program, which I think, is great, but it's a different, sometimes I think it can appear a bit scary. But group, just being in a group, talking to people. Rest, eating is really important. And just being aware of where I'm at with my body at any stage. I do a lot of resting during the day. I mean, I do. Like my lunch break will be half an hour just lying on the floor.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And reading is a real resource for me. Reading anything on well-being, be it like, literally it can be like, there's a great handbook called the Robert Burns Handbook of Feeling Good, and I just dip in and out of that. It's a massive book, but the thing is, it's lots of little things. And I find that a real resource, because it's like the book's allowing me to kind of own my emotions.
I think in many ways a book or journaling or something like that can also be a safe space between you and yourself, possibly.
Yeah.
I definitely relate to those one-on-one conversations and those groups. I think they're so valuable, priceless in many ways. I don't think you can ever put a price on having an environment where you can just completely be yourself.
I don't think you can. I think you're right, and I think it's essential because we can't, we can embrace all of ourselves, and also we're made up of lots of different parts. So I will be a certain amount of parts when I'm at work, but I can't ignore, other parts of me that might be a lot more nervous and scared. So I have to just remind myself. In fact, even saying this to you now is reminding me that I can't ignore it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you have to let them out. Let them...
Totally, and and that just takes more and more practice and remembering, because I've had so many years of not, so I can totally get into overworking, ignoring, chastising myself, just get on with it. Why do you feel nervous getting out of the car, or why do you, now it's, if I finish work and I go to the gym, I will feel better for the rest of the day, over the evening. If I wake up early, so like I had a big press launch, I knew it was going to be early, mornings are hard for me, it was a long day, a lot of talking, a lot of dynamics going on, blah, blah, blah. And I actually woke up at 5:30 to make this ballet class, which I knew was next to where this launch was happening. So got into town, did the ballet class, felt amazing for the whole day. And then when I got to about 4:30, I was just getting to the end. I was tired. That made me last. And then I knew that I'd be tired by then. So I drove out to the countryside to see my parents and see my sister's kids, because I know they're a great resource for me.
It's almost like you're topping yourself up.
Exactly. And looking ahead.
Yeah.
And being like, that's going to be hard. So I know, I know what's coming up. And actually, it really does work. Yeah.
And to...
things like this.
Yeah.
Huge resource for me.
This is topping me up.
Yeah, it's great. It's I don't know, it's like, it's a kind of a different way of living, actually.
And I'm imagining to some of the people who might listen to this or watch this, there'll be some that I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going to resonate with a lot of what you've said. And I'm just thinking, you've done a lot of this personal work. What would your kind of one learning be? If you were to kind of say, this is the one real thing that you've learned about your mental health that you'd want to share with others, what would that be?
One thing that I've learned about...
just yourself
Me.
or about your own mental health that might help, help others, I suppose?
Well, it sort of becomes a bit of a cliche that people say it, but I do think it has to be about talking, because these things that have been stuck for so many years, or anything that's kept in, actually, and even, sort of wanting to have a conversation with someone and it's been kept in for a week, that kind of pressure is enough. And it's like, well, actually, I didn't want to say that, and I'm really sorry. Imagine like 30 years of that. We have to get it out, because if we keep it in, it turns in against ourselves. So it has to be, I think, talking, and it has to be in a safe way, So that's what I would say. And then underneath that creates connection, and then connection is the most beautiful thing. We feel safe and we feel held and supported, and then everything's a doddle, really. It's when we don't feel connected and isolate, because of things that have happened in the past, that things can just get worse and worse.
I think that's an amazing thing to share with people. I hope more people find their space to share.
Yeah, totally. And it's totally possible. Totally. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. It's been amazing to hear your story. I feel almost knocked for six listening to it, but in a really good way. I feel very grounded and privileged, really, to hear you speak. It's been great.
Well, thank you for coming to the house.
No, thank you for having us. Cool.